Hello everybody, Anna Sabramowicz here. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Oh my goodness. Okay, I have something exciting to share with you today, and it is really about engagement and transformation. Why you need to know this, because the minute I figured this out, this changed the game for me as far as designing interactive storytelling. Okay, all right. So first off, let me just set this up a little bit for you so that you kind of, if this is your first time here and you've never been introduced to interactive storytelling, this is going to be a little bit of a preamble for you. I'm going to begin with that, and then I'm going to give you some tips on how to implement this in your own work. So it's going to be awesome. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of an overview here, but if you want to dig deep, go to elearningsecrets.com and register for my upcoming webinar, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be way more intense and in-depth and awesome. The other thing is, if somebody could put that in the comments for me so that they could just click on the link, that would be wonderful. You are going to be my number one helpful person. Thank you so much. Also, hope you're doing great. If you are, say hi. All right, let's get started. Are you ready? Are you excited? Yes, it's Monday and I've had a cup of coffee. Okay, and also it was Thanksgiving and I ate a ton of pie. It's a good day. It's a good day. Still recovering from the sugar rush. So, all right. So the first thing I just wanted to say is, the way I used to design learning, and I know if e-learning, and if you guys can relate to this, then let me know, because that just lets me know I'm not alone, and that also lets me know that you're not alone. All right, so the first thing is really, we were sold this dream, this magical dream, where you could take old PowerPoints, presentations from live sessions, Word documents, all kinds of manuals and spec sheets, and then you could magically put them through some magic software, and the magic software would actually skip over us completely. All we had to do is push this magic software button, boop, ba-da, boop, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, magic would happen, and somehow something that would not make people cry and yawn and be a glorified PowerPoint basically would show up and would engage, and it would be slick, and it would work, and we'd be done. And we did that. I did that for a while. And then I felt like really the minion. I would be, there's so many times where I felt like when I was talking to people who were trying to get their, they were trying to get their stuff online, how they were like, the only reason I'm talking to you is because you have access to the magic button and you're not really adding much. I already put everything together, so all you have to do is feed it into this machine that pops it out and makes it magical, right? That's really how I felt. And it's demoralizing in some ways, and also it kind of diminishes the value. No, not kind of. It diminishes the value that somebody who thinks about learning, who thinks about the learner, who thinks about their experience, who thinks about what this is supposed to accomplish in the grand scheme of things, how they just take that away from you. And then you just end up feeling like you really are not adding the value that you were meant to add, because it's all about that purpose. Not for everybody. Some people love this. Some people are like, yeah, I'm cool with that. That's cool. This is not for those people. I'm talking about the people who, when you put it out over here, this learning, this masterpiece, it's a part of you. And you know that regardless of whether your name is anywhere on here, you are attached to this, and this is your product. This is your piece. And every piece you put out says something about you. That's what I believe. And so if you're constantly putting out pieces that don't say good things about you and don't represent your best work and intentions, that's going to start grating on you. That's going to start affecting how you show up every day. So I want that to be gone, because I'm just going to tell you what's been working for me. So let's get rid of this. Bye-bye. So what's been working for me is introducing interactive storytelling. Now, there's so many layers to that, and that's why I said go to elearningsecrets.com, sign up for my webinar. It's coming up. There'll be more dates, but for now we've got one, because I want to see how interested people are in this awesome way of delivering content and designing experiences for people, right? But so when I talk about interactive storytelling to anybody, all kinds of people at all different levels, they get excited. Do you know why? Because storytelling, people get that. When you say e-learning, people are like, oh yeah, and I've talked about this before. Tons of different ideas about what e-learning is. Most of it substandard experiences, right? But when I say storytelling, that gets people excited. They're like, oh yeah, I get that. And they get excited for their audiences too. They're like, we're going to engage them with that. I know, because I like stories. Everybody likes stories. So I say interactive storytelling. And you say, but I'm not a storyteller, Anna. So what is up with that? That's not fair. That's not helpful. Guess what? Neither am I. I'm not a storyteller either. There's just, and I've had this thing, I'm like, when was the last time you actually went into any company that like just does anything other than like write books and say, hey, where's the storyteller around here? Where's the resident story? There's no such thing, right? That doesn't exist. But just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean that you can't be a storyteller, because guess what? This is the coolest thing. This is what I discovered with my struggle with trying to be a storyteller. There's a framework. It's simple. And once you have the formula, baby, you're not doing the storytelling. You're just following the pattern, the framework, which is what I love, which is because it's repeatable, because you don't have to, you can be creative within the constraints of a framework. And that is what I absolutely love. Okay, so are you excited about this? Do you want to know like the key elements of story so that you can also start incorporating this into the work you do? So you can do more of this and less of the minion work. If yes, give me a heck yeah. Heck yeah, I want to be a storyteller from using a box method. Which is sweet, because I think we just like over romanticize things, and there's a formula. And guess what? What's amazing? Any movie that you love, like you seriously love, and you've watched it like 10 times, and I don't know if any of you have those movies. I have those movies. If you're brave enough to put which movie you've seen like at least 5 times in your life, I dare you to put it in the comments, because that's going to be a riot. And then maybe I'll put in mine next time. See if you can guess. So the reason we love them is because the framework in there is good. It's so tight. Like that it follows that pattern so well. And it's kind of funny, because there's a reason why most people like why some movies go like to 100% rating and some movies do 20%, is because there's elements in there that our brains pick up as the right stories, as the right framework, and we just like zone in on that, and that works for us. But if one of those elements is missing, that's the movie that gets like 10%. And that's what's amazing. You can have a movie that 10,000 people go to, and they'll absolutely love it. And those 10,000 people are 10,000 different people. But because the pattern in that story is set up the right way, all of them resonate with it. And that's a story. And that's what's amazing. That's what we're gonna leverage and hack for our purposes. Because that's why I wanted to say transformation is such a huge thing for engagement, for learning, for the people that we're trying to impact, right? So when you talk about stories, first, like if we're talking about the essence of stories, and I know you're going to be like, is it really that simple? And I'm going to tell you, yes. What's a story? A story is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I know you're like, oh, look at that light. It's a little, let me move that. Oh, no. Because, so you got to be able to see that M. Let me move it. Let me move the M right here. And anybody who's just listening to this, you were like, what the heck happened? I had to move an M because the light was in it. Okay, so beginning, middle, end. And you're like, no, okay, there's a little bit more to it, but not much more. See, transformation for me, and this is like, when I tell you this has been working for me. This has been working for when I start projects and I say interactive storytelling, people get excited and then they want to listen. They want to figure out what's going on. And then also, because this is baked into the process, I'm not coming up with any of this stuff. I'm just asking the right questions to come up with the pieces that just fill in the boxes that I have. Okay? So, and also what's wonderful is that when those stories hit the learner, the excitement and the level of connection is there. And that's what to me is just like, I'm like, yes, my life is fulfilling. One story, interactive story at a time, right? Okay, beginning, middle, end, but really transformation. What is that? That means that your learner or character even, they start off with a one type of perspective. Perspective one, let's call it. And then at the end, the best learning out there changes somebody's perspective, right? They come out with perspective two. So I'm just gonna write in perspective two. You see that? Yeah, cool. So perspective two. So that means that, and this is one of the things that we almost have to internalize, is that for somebody who comes into our learning, especially like I'm talking to people who are adults, right? Adult learners, they're coming in with their own perspective. And our training, what it's trying to do is to make them see the world in a different way and leave with a different perspective, whether that perspective is, I can do better if I adopt this kind of practice. I have some gaps and I need to learn a bit more. This is a beneficial process and I'm going to change it up because I see now through this that this makes sense. So there's a transition, there's a transformation. Now, this transformation in the past has been exemplified by what don't they know? What do they know now? And it's not that simple. Like, it was info and content centered. Perspective has to almost do with beliefs. What do they believe now? They're not good enough. They're good enough. They're a great leader. What do they have to believe? That if they adopt certain things, certain practices, they can actually be leaders in every single situation. They don't have to wait for special, meetings or opportunities. Every single time they interact with their team, that's an opportunity to be a leader. Whatever, that's one, right? So there needs to be a vision for you when you're learning, when you're trying to instill your story. What's the difference between these two? It needs to be amped up and it needs to be clear. So this is perspective one, perspective two. And that really is the transformation. So when you are designing your story, what happens is the things that happen in between, which are the decisions and the struggle that somebody has to go through. These are these lessons, key decisions and key lessons that they're going through. These are going to be the pieces that are going to help somebody move from this state, this perspective, to this perspective. So it's actually helpful when you have these two solidified first, like, where's my character at right now? They believe that sales is something that somebody is born with. They don't believe that people, like anybody, can just become an amazing salesperson. So they're coming in with this, but now they're going to leave with this perspective, that anybody can become a salesperson through practice. Guess what I'm going to do here? I'm going to give them tons of opportunities, difficult ones, to practice learning to become a salesperson, right? Is this going to teach them to be a salesperson? Probably not. But what it'll do is it'll change their perspective and their belief about the fact that they also now have the capability to be there, to be a top salesperson, even though in the beginning they believed it was something that was like, some people are born salespeople, some people are born extroverts. You can learn, right? So that's what our training, that's what's trying to do. So we have to make sure these two are opposite, or that we're taking them from one place to the next. You always have to consider this, because this is the thing that actually happens. I see this. A lot of times we have this end perspective, like, you're gonna be the number one, yeah, awesome. But we don't consider that people come in with doubt, with their own beliefs, with, we think everybody's like, I'm excited, I can't wait to learn. Okay, what's next? Or I'm a keener. No, even if they are a keener, they might still have perspectives that hold them back from being here. Otherwise they'd be here, right? What is that? What's the doubt? What's holding them back? And then you can start unlocking then this has meaning, because they see through the character that they're going from one kind of belief to another kind of belief. And then they see that. There's other elements in the story, and I'll talk about those later this week, because I really wanted to unpack this in a very systematic, way for you so that there's no confusion, because this is not rocket science. This is very simple. There's a framework. But am I going to ruin story for you? Probably not, because some of the best stories out there, even though now I know like the story structure, I still get lost in good stories. So one of the things you want to do then is, whoever you're starting your learning for, your learner, this is my tip for you today, is figure out where they're at. Psychologically, skill-wise, where are they at? And where do you want to take them to? And make sure this difference is quite stark. Like, we're talking about taking a farm boy from some star solar system living with his, grandparents or uncle, aunt and uncle, Luke Skywalker, and I'm going to sell him a dream of becoming the guy who saves the universe and also gets a medal from a princess. That's a big difference, right? Compelling story though, and also wicked challenge. Self-doubt over here. Oh my gosh, look at this. Amazing achievement. What are the things that help me get there? Yes, that's an overlay of a story from, Star Wars, but you're creating a compelling story in real life. I'm at the bottom of the sales pool. I'm getting the 5%. Not so good. I want to be up here in the 98th percentile of awesomeness. How do I get there? What are some things that are getting in my way, right? We'll get into that again this week. The other thing is, here's your other piece of homework. If you haven't done this already, watch a Pixar movie. And if you have, put your favorite one in the comments, because baby, there is those guys, formula. It's all formula with Pixar. But that's why they put out rockin' movies, because they follow the formula. And it's actually funny, because we'd be like, oh, it's the same thing. But it's still amazing. It's still amazing because it works. Our brains tune into that pattern, lock in, and we love it. And it works. And they do it. So if you have seen a Pixar movie, put it in the comments. I'd love to see which ones you like come out the most. If you haven't, I suggest you start with either Moana or WALL-E. Those are like two awesomeness, or Up. Okay, all right, those are my favorites. There's actually more, but get you started. And watch the very beginning, like let's say up to the first 10 minutes, if you don't have time, and watch the last 10 minutes to see the transformation of those characters. Like if you just have that time, just do that. So if you have kids, you got some things on CD or DVD or whatever, check out the first 10 and watch the last 10. Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're setting up what the perspective is at the very beginning and the world that this person operates in, and then the perspective at the very end and the world that this person operates in. The more you do this kind of analysis, the more you do this kind of thinking, one, you'll be able to steal better because you're going to be stealing for your stories, because you'll be inspired by those ideas. And two, you'll still enjoy stories. In fact, even more so, because you'll be able to see which parts are missing for you, and you'll be easily able to say why that didn't work for you. But then what's awesome is it takes away the mystical part of the actual putting it together, so that you can use it as a tool and have it in your back pocket when you need to pull out and say, this is the situation where an interactive story would just be a killer. It would be awesome. It would affect the change. It would make people do the things, get the ahas that we need them to have to be able to engage with all this content and resources that we have. Let's do that. Here it is. I've got a framework. I've got a pattern. Let's go. And everybody's going to be like, that's awesome. Let's do it. Yeah. So I'm going to be getting more into stories this week. That's just kind of my focus. I want to really unpack it. But if you want to go like full deep awesomeness, elearningsecrets.com. Go there, register. Either way, you'll get notices about what's coming up, and then see if you can attend. That would be awesome. So have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you found it valuable, guess what? Share it. And otherwise, I'll see you next time, my friends. Take care, and thanks so much for stopping by. Take care. Bye.